Last video, we made huevos, my take on marinated eggs. This time, we'll transform them into the UK's Scotch eggs using a sausage that's loosely based off of Vietnam's nam loi. These are my Scotch huevos. Add annatto seeds and a neutral oil into a small saucepan. Turn on the heat and occasionally stir so the seeds don't burn. We're making an annatto seed oil, which will be used to dye our sausage a beautiful shade of orange. When the oil turns dark red, you can strain out the seeds, or just be careful pouring the oil out into a heat-safe container, preferably ceramic or glass so it doesn't stain, and put it aside to cool. Then take some pork fat and cube it roughly the size of your thumbnail. We'll be boiling this in water, both to get rid of the scum and so no one bites into a chunk of unrendered pork fat in the sausage. Once it's thoroughly cooked, remove to a separate dish, and add a tablespoon or so of sugar. Mix thoroughly, then set aside. Take whole black peppercorns and bash in a mortar and pestle. This is important both because the aroma of pepper is stronger when freshly cracked, and you'll want the size to vary. Mince a couple of shallots, and then pound a few cloves of garlic. Add ground pork to a stand mixer's bowl, along with the black pepper, shallots, and garlic. Then add a tablespoon or so of cornstarch, which will allow the sausage to hold more moisture. Then add fish sauce. You're going to beat the pork mixture in the stand mixer until it becomes stringy, enough that it will hold together if you form it. Don't forget to occasionally stop the mixer and scrape down the sides and paddle to make sure everything is evenly dispersed. Make sure you taste test it for seasoning. Take a small chunk of your sausage mixture and nuke it in the microwave. The texture will be awful, but it's a small price to pay to understand where you are in terms of seasoning. Add the annatto seed oil until the sausage mix becomes red. Then put the boiled pork fat from earlier into the bowl and mix. Taste test again, and adjust your seasoning by adding more fish sauce or salt if necessary. Then take the entire bowl and refrigerate. This will make it easier to work with later. Pour roasted rice powder into a container that you can roll your huevos in. This dries the exterior of the egg, which will allow the sausage to adhere to the surface of the egg, and it also gives a distinctive flavor. On a long sheet of plastic wrap, lay down a thin, even layer of the sausage mixture. Roll your egg in the roasted rice powder, then wrap the sausage mixture around it, using the plastic wrap to make the sausage as evenly dispersed as possible so that it cooks evenly. Then place in the fridge to firm up for about an hour. For our dredging station, I have a dry mix of cornstarch and roasted rice powder, beaten eggs, and panko breadcrumbs. Keep one hand wet, one hand dry, and dredge accordingly. Now we're going to fry our Scotch huevos. Heat up a wok of neutral oil to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and fry thoroughly, trying to maintain that temperature. Definitely err on the side of being overdone rather than underdone. The likelihood of you overcooking your eggs is lower than the sausage being undercooked. To plate, I cut and rinse some cabbage. I wanted to evoke a sort of nest vibe with the eggs. I also cut a few cherry tomatoes. My thought is that the acidity in the tomatoes will play nicely with the eggs. I also added some green onion to garnish. This actually was my first time ever making these since I thought of them. And overall, I don't know that I would make them again since they're pretty intensive to make, but I enjoyed the idea of them greatly. They tasted a little strong, but I think that's because this particular batch of huevos was overly strong. I think if I were to make them again next time, I'd serve it with a different sauce rather than the Nuke Umami I used for the huevos. Maybe something like Kewpie mayo or a mustard of some sort. Like and subscribe for more strange fusions no one expected.